Okay, so today we'll be talking about APC's presidential primaries and its expectations. We don't know the result yet. From the updates we got, the Imo delegates are we're just about to start casting their votes. Exactly, from the live updates we were getting. And they've run this since yesterday evening. And we're expecting to get a conclusion by evening today. I knew we were not going to know who the presidential candidates will be as at yesterday evening, because some people were clamoring like, oh, by evening today, June 6th, we will know. I said, no, that's not going to happen. It's going to take time and a lot of things involved. They will drag it to the last before we find out. If they could even postpone the elections, the primaries by 1 week. So let's be patient. We're all waiting. We have two amazing people in the house today, and seated very close to me, someone you know, someone you've seen a lot on our shows. We have Professor Julius Iyasele. Today is here with us as a public commentator. You might have heard him addressed as other things on the show, but he's a concerned Nigerian, so he's here this morning to talk about this primaries.
Thank you, moderator, and then good morning, viewers.
Okay, and we have Honorable Frank Amegor. We have a history. I've never interviewed you on television before, but there's something about his voice. I had a teacher who sounds just like him. And I'm looking forward to a day where I could bring both of you on television. Honorable Frank Amego is a political analyst, and it's good to have you on TMI this morning.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. I'm waiting for that occasion.
I cannot, in fact, I have to start thinking towards that line. Okay, I feel like introducing praises to them because of the way he's looking. I just feel like doing that. So I have another person here. You're not serious. Okay, so the APC presidential primaries is still on, and from what we're hearing, in fact, there be rumors. I don't think they've even started counting, but people are saying Tinubu seems to be the one to will clinch their tickets. While a lot of Nigerians have their reservations about that, and I will get into that. But the first question I do have is the northern governors deciding to have a consensus that everything should be zoned to the south. Many Nigerians are saying there's an ulterior motive to this. After all, the PDP have brought someone from the north. Northerners seem to vote for their own, not necessarily about party. Do you think there is an ulterior motive about this, let a southern person emerge? Are they pushing for the candidate, whoever the candidate is, to fail for something hidden? From your assessment, what do you think, Professor?
Well, I've classed this as Greek gift at certain quarters. Well, I'm a researcher, so I will not be definite. But however, there are issues, there are ideas, there are reasons, there are gray lights, you know, pointing or culminating into me, into my saying that it's a Greek gift. You had come out earlier, before now, that there's no more idea about zoning and that everybody should go to the polls. But why wake up suddenly in the middle of the night to now begin to show, maybe let me put it that they're not showing compassion to the South. Whereas many of them were the ones that have broken that, you know, maybe on written constitution. But somebody said in PDP's constitution it is there about zoning. But what we have always known, all ourselves, that you zone. So if you now suddenly wake up after one of the parties has done their primaries, and then somebody has been chosen, you know, to fly the flag of PDP, you're now waking up and now saying, okay, you no more want somebody from the north, it should not go to the south. Then it leaves some kind of very, very sour taste. Anyway, the way I look at it. So I call it, I class it a Greek gift. I don't believe that what they are doing is genuine. They are just trying to hoodwink that, because I know that in the north, people vote across party lines. So now that they now have one of their own,
flying one of the major parties' flag, then they are comfortable. Because even before, if you look at it, you remember the names of people like former President Jonathan was very, very rife in the media and all that. They had used all, dynamics. They tried raising so many surrogates and all that. They had many things cooking on fire. If this does not work, maybe we try this. We saw all of this. It's very, very clear. Nobody this time can be hoodwinked. So what I see here, that is what is playing out. They wouldn't want any votes divided in the north against their own. And so they are not playing the game. If it is possible, let's go down south and then divide their votes. And while that is done, our person will eventually emerge. That is what I'm reading from their lips. Not that it is actually of their interest, because they were the ones earlier that have said power must shift to the north.
All right, now before now, there has been this major clamor for the presidency should come to the south. Now, in your opinion, we have the southwest, we have the southeast.
Yes.
So which of this zone deserves to get the presidency?
The question is
honorable.
Okay.
Let me ask honorable now. This one is too honorable.
There's no one geopolitical zone that should have it from the south. It all depends on the political interplay. From what Prof said now, I would want to see it as kind of a compassion that is suspicious from the north to the south. First, they saw that Atiku Abubakar has emerged as a PDP candidate, and it will be a defeat by default if they field Ahmed Lawal as APC candidate. Ahmed Lawal cannot really stand Atiku Abubakar politically. So back to your question, if the thing is going to the south, it's not left for the southerners to come together. I've seen very clearly that the southerners are not as united as the northerners.
Some would even say we don't know how to play politics.
Yeah, what we understand is money politics. But when you remove money from the politics, we don't understand politics anymore. So what the southerners are doing now is trying to make up a kind of united front to show to the Nigerian people that they can produce a candidate. But mind you, so far, last night to now, we've seen the flow of money. And
huge
you
flow.
cannot really rule out transactional politics. Money is always involved.
Okay.
So with the large volume of money distributed around the Eagle Square now, I'm of your view that is not something consistent with the ego. The ego should be the best of the best, and you are rubbishing the ego as a bird as this matter is concerned. So what I'm saying clearly, if as it's going now, it's going to move towards the southwest. If southwest is able to bring the victory to the southerners, why not? But from the
irrespective of the zone.
Yes, doesn't matter. Let's come to the south.
Okay.
So if the southeasterners want it, but from what I saw, the lady there, Uju also,
Step down
for southwest, for Ahmed
Bola
Tinubu. And I was thinking, should have done that on behalf of Umai, southeast relationship.
But step down too.
That wasn't it.
Or Amici.
It doesn't matter if it comes to the southwest, south, south, or southeast. Let it come to the south first.
Okay.
That's my view about
I have
it.
an opinion too. I want to share an opinion there. If we look at that question intently, I would have suggested for morality, for equity, and share-mindedness and all that, it was supposed to go to the southeast. Because if you look at the governorship, or let me put it that way, or how many persons have occupied presidential position, whether military or civilian, most times it has either gone to the northwest, then the southwest. The southeast has really not been given an opportunity.
A fair play.
Yes, and I have said it here before. let me go spiritual now, that I got a revelation at a time that it is only when somebody from the southeast is president of this country that we will now begin to notice a new dawn. And when I questioned that, then God asked me, the people who were doing well as at the time that revelation came, where are they from? And that was Obasanjo's release of 2004. Where are they from? And then when I looked at them, this Soludo there now, Ngozi Keruke in immigration, you have a NAFDAC woman, Akunyini, you have Okonjo Iweala then we have Obi Ezekwesili. Those were the big names in that government, and they were all from the south. When that question came, I agreed with that revelation that came unto me, that yes, there's something to take from that region. And then if you look at the Bible also, he said, I take the weak to confound the strong. And so as it were now, the southeast are the weakest of all the regions. Currently. But then, just like God will go and make to a particular house and say, where are the rest? After seeing all the children from he said, no, there's still one. In the bush. In the bush, tending cow and all that. And he's the weakest. And then that is why I've said, use that word, I take the weak to confound the strong. And if Nigeria knows what to really do, everybody right now should put hand behind to choose one of the best from the south, from the southeast. As I yesterday, if you listen to Osibajo's manifesto or presentation on the at Eagle Square as a campaign manifesto, most of the things he said were things that are already going on in the southeast. The name that he mentioned, he talked about innocent and all that. These are the region where you can find, if you really want to push this country forward, where you need to take somebody from now.
Interesting. Okay, some might even have fears that if someone from the southeast comes, the old fear from IPOB might really become overwhelming. We don't know where these people stand. If a southeastern president emerges, won't the person just finally divide Nigeria? But that's not, that's on the one hand. The question I have is this. Northerners are known for voting for their own. They don't really care so much about the money. But if money changes hands, good and fine, but they will still vote for their own. If peradventure, the APC, obviously we know it's tilting towards the southwest now, brings their candidate, the PDP already has gone to the north, and Labour Party seems to be a major party now because they have Peter Obi. Yeah. Okay, so if it happens that Atiku wins this election, because we have more voters from the north. How many of us have PVCs in the south? INEC has refused to extend deadline for registration, even though they said they would not extend deadline for primaries, and they still did. They refused to extend that same courtesy for PVCs. Would there be anarchy if this power doesn't come to the south? What do you think the outcome will be in the long run?
I like the word you use, if Atiku wins, if.
Yes, if.
And before the if, we're talking about if the Southeasterners can be president. They can't be. Prof, sorry, they can't be. Because there's no bill of unity in the Southeast. Just look at what Uju did to Bola Tinubu. You have your own person that you have ceded your votes to. You refused for peculiar reasons. They can't be. If you ask the East, produce a president, there will be a major confusion. They can produce like 1 million presidential candidates. There's no unity. So that's a major thing. So don't you think that the Easterners are better as subordinates? Those names you mentioned now, they were not in the forefront. They were able to support the leader at that time, former President Olusegun Obasanjo. So I see the Easterners as, okay, you support, they can support and get results. But if you ask them, produce one president, that will be another war. That's on one leg. On the other leg, your fears are palpable. If the presidential candidate is asked, okay, come from the East, will they divide Nigeria? It's like 99.9%. Because everybody is afraid. Because of the way they position themselves, they are holding on to separation. that will not help you in the polity of this present country.
But Honorable, talking about separation, we just have few elements that are actually agitating
There are
for this
few. There are few.
separation.
The mind of an ordinary Southeasterner is to leave.
Okay.
If you check the streets, they want to leave. So if Atiku Abubakar wins as the president, I don't think it will win. It won't win.
That's your personal opinion.
It won't win because I once lived in the north. The northerners are not so much polarized in his direction. They are not. They see him as someone that wants to exhibit all what he wants, not carrying the northerners along. Mind you, Atiku is from the southeast, from Adamawa, and Adamawa is not a major key player in politics, Nigerian politics. So they don't see him as someone that can even deliver the expected dividends of the northerners. So the northerners want some persons that they feel they can use. That's why they are more towards the south and in particular the southwest. If you check,
Northwest.
Southwest, the Yorubas. If you check it, Katsina and Kano, they have the highest number of delegates. And if you saw the video, they wore the cap with that logo of Tinubu. Kano delegates, Katsina delegates, they wore the cap. That shows that they actually want someone that can represent their interest. And that's the person of the cap they wore. But not for me, I would have wanted Osinbajo, but the political play may not allow him. Otherwise, we'll look for a president that is presentable. Between Bola Tinubu and Osinbajo is more presentable. Like I'm dressed like him now. He wears black. He's more presentable.
Did you just say he wears black?
It's all about the outlook.
That's on a lighter note, I guess.
So I feel the northerners are more predisposed to the southwest. More so, Ahmed Bola Tinubu is a Muslim, and they can leverage on that and quote one or two things in the Quran and call it to order. And because the northerners will prefer a Muslim from the south, it will not be difficult for Osinbajo to emerge. Yeah. From the vote so far, is tilting towards.
It's like.
Can I tell you
something?
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know that the Southeast has been able to produce a governor? Because the way we are positing here is as if it's almost impossible for somebody from the Southeast to be chosen to lead the people. If they have been able to, in their various states, been able to present one person to lead the state. And very quite frankly, if you go to Anambra State, the interlinks as roads are tied and all that. Right from the same Ngige time to Peter Obidem and all of that. You go there, you be shocked at what, like even if you go to a boy, you see what Umahi himself, the same man, what he has done. You understand? My own is, my suggestion is that this country, if we really have a mind that we should move out of the doldrum, out of squalor and poverty, penury, as it were, we need to go down that way and look for somebody. Not minding what has happened there is the kind of system they operated in the past. Why even the whites didn't even settle for them and settle for the north. You look at it in the north, the article we are talking about, because I'm going to disagree with my colleague a little bit. That day, Wike was ahead of Atiku before the last night of that primary.
So what happened? A long time in politics.
It was even in the afternoon before they started voting. What happened was that they went into the mouth. When Wike noticed, when Atiku noticed that Wike was going to put the carpet under his legs, he stormed out of Eagle Square. I'm sure that many of us read that. And somebody who was at Eagle Square told me that what they did, they now went to the mosque. It was now in the mosque that they said Emir called, and another man who had been president of this country also called, I don't want to call him, also called and asked Tambuwa to step down. And that was the gate. Because that last night, Wike, the Kano block, they say Wike was able to reach the Kano block and change their minds. But last, what happened was that, you know, these people, their religion is linked with politics. And so they have somebody tapering at the top there who directs what happens, and all of them listens. And this is why they are able to do it. They are closely knit also by the Yorubas also, because of, you know, loyalty and all that. The East, is it the parliamentary system or what is this that, you know, you really don't have a king in the East or thereabout. You know, everybody
has their own music.
You understand? So that is the problem that region is having. So it is an accessory thing. It's not their fault. But what we are saying here is that as a country, if you want this country to be better, if you want to push it, go there and choose one of the best. I'm telling you, I want to bet anything for it, that you will see a new dawn in this country.
Okay, well,
I could see the passion for the Southeast, but for that to really play itself out, we have to change our system of government.
How?
Democracy does not allow that position. They just go and pick from the Southeast.
What is the meaning of consensus?
It's not in the Constitution. Consensus is not there.
Okay.
It's not there. It's democracy. You come out and campaign, get people for yourself, and they will end up voting for you. But the Southeast are not that united.
We have somebody now standing. Okay,
The Easterners vote for him.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Peter Obi. If you go on social media, he's very popular on social media. In fact, most of the Easterners, with their comments on social media, they stand for Peter Obi. But the question is, on election day, will we see these people on social media queuing to vote? We have about 60% of the youth registered to vote. But on the day of election, you don't find 60%. The number of accredited voters to the number of vote cast, the difference is always too large. The margin is huge. So it's for one thing for us to have Peter Obi's support online, and it's another thing for us to bring it on the day of the election. Well, in fact, Peter Obi should have a full day on our show real soon. Well, let's wait for the APC presidential.
I'll assuage your fears.
Okay.
If you notice the drive for people to go register now on church, different platforms and all that, people are speaking. Nigerian Christian Graduate Fellowship, few days ago, we had a press conference at our meeting place, and the drive is that everybody must now go and register. People are going through the mosque, the can, everybody, go and register. You will see the volume of persons that will come out this time to cast. People are not sensitive, you know, highly, very activated and engineered now towards this election.
We hope so. Nigerians like money. Yeah. So on the day of election, between Peter Obi and Atiku, we already know who seems to be richer and who most likely will be generous. If Tinubu, if the operative word here, emerges as a candidate, now we're talking lots and lots of money. So you put Tinubu, you put Atiku, you put Peter Obi, and then you tell the Southerners to pick one, and money is involved. Well, that's a message for another day. Now, between Tinubu and Oshibajo, who do you think is most likely to deliver by your own political calculation? Tinubu seems to have the, what would I call, experience. When you're looking for a job, they ask you, how many years of experience have you got? His entire family seems to be tilted towards the political. His wife is a senator, the son is running for governor, his grandchildren are obviously going to play politics and all that stuff. Then Oshibajo seemed to have a speech. I sat down to watch it. There was barely anything talking about insecurity. It was talking a whole lot about investment, but I don't know how you're going to build an economy that is not safe. All right? If Oshibajo emerge, if it's between Tinubu and Oshibajo, who's most likely to work? Oshibajo's manifesto is to continue from where the president, Muhammadu Buhari, stopped. And most of the Nigerians are saying President Muhammadu Buhari did not deliver. And he wants to continue from there. Can he really give us the Nigeria we need? or will Tinubu most likely be a better candidate? I'm directing to you, Honorable.
First, I said this present administration couldn't deliver, but I want to correct the impression. This present administration was never pregnant. So if there was no pregnancy, you wouldn't expect any delivery. That's on one side. So between Osinbajo and Tinubu, we can really relate that with the present day Edo State governor. That it was never at any time a councillor, a chairman, or whosoever, but just emerged as a governor. He's doing well. That you have been there severally. What are the antecedents we can look at? Is it in Lagos that we have a family business with no ties to BAT? So that's not the thing that should play out. I want to prefer openly, right here, that Osinbajo will deliver better than Tinubu, because he has a sincere heart.
Is there a politician with a sincere heart?
That's the problem we have in Nigeria.
A politician?
They have. We are all human beings. We have politicians here.
He has good hearts.
Four of us are politicians. Maybe not partisan. It might be partisan or not partisan, but we are politicians. So Osinbajo will deliver better, because when we see a lot of corruption taking place in Nigeria, they will tell you, they're going to tar this road. They never meant it. Insincerity, flooding the whole place. They will tell you they're going to do something, like my own road right now. They dug the gutter 3 years ago, halfway. Then the next thing, they started again this year, a quarter way. The whole thing is dilapidated right now. They don't mean it. So once someone that has a sincere heart, a godly mind to deliver, that's what Nigeria wants. Why do we pray? We pray that God will touch the hearts of politicians. So don't have a sincere heart. What we got touch?
Jonathan was a Christian, and it's bothering you, right?
Yes.
Some of the kind of makes me think about Jonathan.
Yeah.
Well, this insecurity crisis started in the time of Jonathan, that never seemed to be ending today. So, is there really a politician with a sincere heart?
You didn't align that question properly. It didn't start in Jonathan's time.
It became serious.
This administration brought insecurity.
No, Chibok Girls was a world.
Insecurity has been on.
But it became global.
We didn't have it.
Okay. You can come in.
Remember that Obasanjo visited the Northeast
Yes.
at the twilight of his administration to visit. It was Yusuf. I've forgotten his name now. Who they said was the leader of Boko Haram then. That's before he left, if you remember.
Yes.
But I know why my colleague is saying that this administration brought insecurity because of the 2011 elections and all that. But my colleague is of Redeem. Let me, at least somebody help to polish Tinubu's image a little bit here. That is why
At no cost.
At no cost. That's why I'm coming up. You know, Tinubu was a member of NADECO.
Okay.
And you know what NADECO stood for in this country.
Yeah.
You remember the effort that they made to bet even democracy. He was one of those persons who was able to chest out and fight under the caustic Abacha regime. And so you can't put that person down anyhow. So when you talk about delivery, on what front? If you want to talk about insecurity, of course, you shouldn't touch Jonathan with a pinch of salt. I mean, Osinbajo with a pinch of salt. If it is insecurity, because he has been there as vice president to the current president, and then this is when we have had, look at the insult, even from his own geopolitical zone. The last killing in our war and all that. Is it not his region where you had Sunday Igboho came up and all that? This other man also from Ondo, the daughter was killed the other time. Many. So if it's on insecurity, you want to think that is why he didn't touch on that. You understand?
Okay.
But then in terms of maybe can I say international politics, standing in the Committee of Nations to address and all that,
You can talk.
I think he has that. then
Oshibanjo.
another. But then when you talk about somebody who is going to be rugged in government, who is going to take decisions not minding whose horse is God, you look in the direction of Bola Ahmed.
And we don't have such a character right now.
Yeah. We don't have such a character.
We don't need such a character in administration.
No. Don't you think we need a rugged person to actually deal with insecurity?
Yes, and we need to clear the forest.
That seems to be the reason why a lot of people were clamoring for Wike.
Yes, we need to clear the forest, or make the forest so that our people can return back to farm. Okay. We need somebody who can boldly come out, no matter whose house is God. And maybe he knows why he didn't touch on it. And I think all of us sitting here, because we don't want to delve into areas now
that too sensitive.
Too sensitive. Otherwise, you know why he didn't. He knows and all that, and he didn't talk about it. And I hope that when he also comes to government, he'll be bold enough
to handle
issues. But we are looking for somebody now who can, if you don't have a passport into Nigeria, return back to your home. If you don't have a route here and you have nothing doing, return back. This is not a dumping ground and all that. We are looking for presidents who will be able to say all of that and say, well, in the next 2 weeks after ascending to power, we want the forest everywhere cleared.
Okay.
Good.
Those are the
problems. There's a reminder here.
Right.
There's a reminder quickly. Could you remember you were a former ASU chairman?
Yes.
Uniben.
Yes.
And right now you are still in the forefront.
Yes.
I'll remind you, at the time President Buhari was out of the nation.
Yes.
And Vice President Osinbajo was asked to act.
Yes.
That was when they even did things.
The DSSS.
Yeah, did things to even favor ASU. So it should continue.
It will be looking very selfish now.
No,
I'm not
Now they don't want to talk about ASU.
You also have the right to be challenging the president. We're not looking for Agbero administration.
Excuse me. You remember Ebitu Kiwe stormed out of governance when at it where he was being looked at as the third in command under Babangida, and he said he was no more going to, and he left that administration.
Okay.
These are people, when you are not, if you are not happy with, if you cannot, it is just like Atiku the other day, because his people criticizing for criticizing the gruesome murder of Deborah
Samuel.
You quickly went and pulled down your Twitter handle and the post you made and all that. And that is it means tomorrow if you come to God and then if you do anything, your people will say no, this and then fear will grip you and then you may take it down.
All right, let me take us back a little. She talked about Peter will be having huge followership online, and lots of youth clamoring for his candidacy. Now, let me now put it to you, Honorable. Can we now say voters' apathy is one of the reasons why we are having decline in voting?
Yeah, the enlightenment is not there at all. The misconception about voting, politics, I'm sure is the realignment now that is making people to show interest. People have not realized that allowing this thing to continue will be for a worse country of Nigeria. And what I see that the youth they are coming out now because they have access to internet. They can see things for themselves. If you really ask me from the mind of my mind,
the mind of your mind,
yes, I would say this presidential race should be between Osinbajo and Peter Obi. These are two sincere people that will mean well for this country. The rest, no. It's just for discussion. I'm mentioning some other names, Atiku and Bola Tinubu. Otherwise, in my own bedroom, I roll my pen and paper, Osinbajo and Peter Obi. Otherwise, you don't have any president. These are the two persons that can do that. And the youth have not risen up to know the antecedents of Peter Obi. Very wonderful CV. So it's our prayer that you will be able to manifest those CVs he had, those qualities that he has had over the years. So if the youth and some of the civil servants, not just the youth alone, a lot of the civil servants want Peter Obi online.
Online.
So you asked the question before, do they have PVCs? Number two, If they have
they come out to vote on election day.
You know, state politics is slightly milder than federal politics. I remember when our former governor, Adams Oshomole, was playing politics in Edo State. He was doing a whole lot. And when they threw him to national, he returned back. You know, it's one thing for you to play at the state level. It's all your people.
Very well.
And then when you get to the federal, it's a different matter. So we need someone who has federal experience, I would say, but that's my opinion. Okay, and the last question I have today on the show, my last question is, who would you rather be a running mate to Atiku? Can Wike be Atiku's running mate? Do you think those two would merge well? Professor?
Me? That's a big question.
It is big.
But the truth about it is that if anybody in the South should be play second fiddle at all, it should be somebody like Wike. Wike is one person who will behave like a Bitu Kiwe I mentioned just now. If you refuse him to implement some of the ideas that he has, he can storm out of government. And I know it's very unlikely that Atiku will choose Wike. They will not allow him. That is the honest truth.
Well, picking Wike might also become a challenge. If he picks Wike, it will confuse the South. That is what I'm saying there.
Okay. Is that prophetical?
Okay.
Wike actually said he wouldn't want to be a second-class citizen.
That's what he said. No, that's what I was about to say. The words politicians give, you take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah. Okay.
And 24 hours is a very long time in politics. So he can change his mind at any time. So that's on the one hand. But what I'm saying is to confuse the South. A lot of Southerners like Wike. They think it's tough. Then a lot of Southerners are clamoring for Peter Obi. Then a lot of Southerners are looking towards Tinubu because he has money and he has done one or two things for them. Some others like Oshibajo, even though we still have a school of thought saying he cannot even win his ward. But that's on the one hand. So if any of these three people are in the running, who are we going to follow?
I think, let me respond to what you asked, Prof. Wike can't be the vice president to Atiku. On the ground that Wike wants to become president. And from the results, Wike was number 2. So 2 of them can merge. You are a professor of chemistry, sir. They become immiscible liquids. They can't. I am looking at either our state governor, Governor Obaseki, or Delta Governor. These are the 2 I'm suspecting. They're going to pick from the South, either Edo Governor or Delta Governor. It can't be Wike. Any of the 2. From the body language, the governor was in Berlin last week interacting with Edo citizens. And I was able to watch it via Zoom. And I asked some questions. He was shocked. Because my elder brother there told me that your governor is with us in the conference room as I want to ask a question. So is either the state governor, Edo State, or Delta? Edo
State governor, in our state where we have a lot of anarchy, a lot of insecurity crisis, would they be able to deliver when we're talking national insecurity? National insecurity. Okay, because insecurity is actually the biggest problem Nigeria has now. Not even hunger, not poverty, not unemployment. Insecurity has taken over because we're now one of the top 5 most terrorized nations.
Atiku will take somebody from the southeast. Just mark my words.
We're looking how that will play out eventually. Okay, we want to say thank you to you, Professor Julius Iyasele and Honorable Frank Amego, for honoring our invitation on the show today. We're waiting to see the results of the APC presidential primaries and finally have a conclusion on who the flag bearer will be. And we can take it up from there and see who the top 3 eventually, how it's going to play out. Even though social media is not really a criteria to judge. But let's see what popular votes will be online. We'll be back after this break. We're not done. Thanks for staying with us.